Have you ever looked back at a situation, maybe a past relationship, an old job, or even just a set of beliefs you once held and wondered, how on earth did I become okay with this? You look back at who you were a year or two ago, and it feels like you're looking at a completely different person. What happened? How did your standards, your beliefs, your very sense of what's normal, change so dramatically without you even noticing? The answer might lie in a powerful and subtle psychological concept called the Overton window. Now, this term usually comes up in politics, but it explains so much more about our personal lives. The Overton window is essentially the range of ideas that you consider acceptable or normal at any given moment. It's your personal spectrum of what's reasonable, from what's popular and sensible, all the way to what's unthinkable and radical. Here's the scary part. This window isn't fixed. It can be moved. And master manipulators, whether they're a toxic boss, an abusive partner, a cult leader, or even a political movement, don't try to change your mind by attacking your core beliefs head-on. That would be too obvious. That would trigger your defenses. Instead, they work to slowly, gradually, and almost invisibly shift the entire window. They stretch it, they slide it, and they do it so subtly that what seemed insane to you yesterday becomes today's new normal, and you might not even realize it's happening. Think of it like the classic boiling frog analogy. If you drop a frog in boiling water, it jumps out immediately. But if you put it in cool water and slowly turn up the heat, it won't notice the gradual change until it's too late. The Overton window shift works the same way. It's manipulation by 1,000 tiny steps, none of which seems big enough to protest on its own. Let's map it out. Week 1, an idea is introduced. We'll call it Idea A. It makes you a little uncomfortable, but it's framed as a minor thing, something you can tolerate for now. Maybe it's a partner saying, "I just get a little jealous when you talk to other people, because I love you so much." It feels a bit possessive, but you brush it off as insecurity. 3 months later, Idea B comes along. It's about 10% worse than Idea A. The jealousy is now a request. "Could you maybe not hang out with your friend Alex so much? It just makes me uncomfortable." It's a bigger ask, a clearer boundary violation, but it's not a huge leap from where you were before. You've already accepted the premise of their jealousy, so you might rationalize it and agree just to keep the peace. Fast forward to a year later, and you're at Idea C. This is the one that would have horrified you on day 1. It's now a hard rule. You are not allowed to have any friends of the opposite sex, period. If you did, it would mean you don't respect our relationship. By now, the window has shifted so far that this extreme demand feels like the next logical step. Each individual step was small enough that you didn't rebel, you just adapted. You adjusted your definition of normal one tiny degree at a time, and this pattern plays out everywhere. Think about a toxic workplace. It starts with an email on a Friday night saying, "Hey, can you just quickly look at this over the weekend?" It's framed as a one-off, an emergency. You do it because you want to be a team player. A few months later, working on Saturdays becomes an unspoken expectation. A year in, the boss is openly saying that if you're not working 80-hour weeks, you're not committed to the company. The window for work-life balance has been systematically demolished. People who join the company at the 80-hour week stage think it's just how things are. But you were there for the whole slide. We see this in cults and radical political groups, too. It never starts with the most extreme beliefs. It starts with something reasonable, like we're just asking questions or we're just a community seeking truth. They create an echo chamber. Then they introduce slightly edgier ideas, normalize them through constant repetition, and use social proof. Look, everyone else here agrees to make you feel like the odd one out if you resist. 18 months later, the person who just wanted to ask questions is a fully radicalized believer, completely disconnected from their old life. So what's the psychological mechanism that makes this so effective? It all comes down to our brain's deep-seated hatred for cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is that uncomfortable mental stress you feel when you hold to conflicting beliefs, or when your actions don't align with your values. When a manipulator introduces a small, slightly uncomfortable idea, your brain has two choices: fight it and create conflict, or adjust your internal goalposts just a tiny bit to make it acceptable. Fighting every single small shift is exhausting. So, more often than not, your brain takes the path of least resistance. It moves the goalposts itself to stay comfortable. You start making excuses. "Oh, he's just protective. Well, everyone at work is doing it. I guess it's not that big of a deal." You become the one defending the new normal, because admitting that you've been slowly compromising your own values is too painful. Your brain would rather change your values. This is why the Overton window shift is almost impossible to detect in real time. First, there's no single dramatic moment that feels extreme enough to justify walking away. There's no single drop that makes the water feel boiling. Each step is incremental. Second, you participated in every step of the process. You agreed to each small compromise. This makes you feel complicit. How can you suddenly object to idea C when you already said yes to A and B? It feels hypocritical. And finally, by the time you might start to notice something is seriously wrong, your identity is already tied to the window's new position. You're the loyal partner, the dedicated employee, the enlightened group member. To reject the new normal would mean rejecting a part of your own identity that you've spent months or even years building. It would mean admitting you were wrong, that you were manipulated. And that is a very, very hard thing to do. Manipulators, whether they're conscious of it or not, often follow a very specific playbook to make this happen. Step 1. Introduce a slightly edgy or boundary-pushing idea, but frame it as just a thought or I'm just playing devil's advocate. This lowers your defenses. Step 2. Normalize it. They repeat the idea over and over and get others in the group or create the illusion of others to agree. This is social proof. Step 3. Mock and ridicule anyone who still holds the old boundary. They'll be called old-fashioned, naive, uptight, or not a true believer. This creates a powerful pressure to conform. Step 4. Reward compliance and punish resistance. When you go along with a new idea, you're showered with praise, affection, or approval. When you push back, you're met with silence, anger, or disappointment. This is basic conditioning. And the final step, repeat this cycle over and over again. Introduce a new, slightly more extreme idea, normalize it, mock the old standard, reward compliance, punish resistance. They do this until the person you used to be feels like a complete stranger. They do it until you wake up one day and say, "How did I get here?" So how do you break free? How do you protect yourself from this invisible form of manipulation? There's really only one defense, and it requires conscious effort. You have to create an anchor to your original self. The best way to do this is to keep a private, written record of your original boundaries, your core beliefs, and your non-negotiables. A journal. Write down what you believe about relationships, work, politics, and life. Write down what your deal breakers are. Be specific. I will not be in a relationship where my friendships are controlled. I'll not work a job that expects me to be available 24/7. Keep this record somewhere safe and private. Then, periodically, maybe every few months, go back and read it. This is your reality check. If you read an entry from last year and you feel a jolt of shock, if you think, "Wow, I was so naive back then," that's your alarm bell. That feeling of shock is the proof that your Overton window has been moved without your conscious consent. The gap between the you on the page and the you in the present is the distance the manipulator has dragged you. That written proof, that external anchor to your past self, is often the only thing powerful enough to snap you out of the trance. It bypasses the rationalizations and the cognitive dissonance, because it's a direct confrontation with your own words. It proves that the water is, in fact, getting hotter. This tactic is everywhere. It's used by narcissists, cults, abusive partners, corrupt leaders, and even some aggressive marketers. It is the fundamental engine of gradual radicalization and control. It's the reason good people find themselves doing things they never thought they would, and the reason people stay in situations that are destroying them. So if you've ever found yourself wondering how things got so bad, you're not alone. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you've likely been subjected to a masterful and insidious form of psychological influence. The first step to taking back control is recognizing the game. Keep your anchor, trust your gut, and don't let anyone silently move your window. Thanks for watching. If this resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content on psychology and self-awareness. Stay safe out there.